Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hormones in Harmony podcast. I honestly don't know where to start for this episode. I have made some notes, but I just feel like this one episode isn't going to be enough to share all of the transformations that I had, all of the breakthroughs, but I just was so excited to share with you all. I literally got back from this retreat yesterday, and this is going to go live a few days later. So I am probably still in just an amazing happiness bubble and just in a sheer state of joy and pleasure and gratitude for the experience. I booked it, I'd say pretty last minute a few months ago, and I just really felt called to join. Just to clarify, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically, I have just got back from a 5-day manifestation retreat hosted by Alexandria Maria. And I knew of this practitioner, this coach, a few months ago, but then I was asking my friend Kat if she knew of any retreats or events happening, because I really wanted to go on holiday or do some sort of program. And she told me, or reminded me, that Alex hosts them, and it all just worked out perfectly. It was all totally in alignment. And there was a period of time where my first instinct was, I need to go to this. This sounds perfect. It all works really well for what I'm looking for. But then, just as I was about to book it, my ego, my limiting beliefs, my self-sabotager was just trying to stop me from booking it. It was saying it's too expensive, or you don't need this. You could just do your own, cheaper version of it on your own. You don't need to travel somewhere. Some of it was like, you already know all of this stuff. Why would you need more? And I even asked Alex, I said, if I'm already fairly knowledgeable about manifestation, will it be useful? She's like, yes, absolutely. Most people here are going to be in the same situation. And I'm so glad that I listened to myself and her, because I really did learn so much. And there was definitely new things that I learned and new perspectives, but even just remembering and just really embodying what I'd already heard or taught before, it was just really powerful. So I'll just give you an overview as we go through of what happened during those 4 nights, 5 days that I was there. I went for a week in total, but I did a day before just at the beach nearby in Palma, and that was really nice. I went in the sea, had a nice sea swim, and then before I left, I had about 2 days in the city of Palma before flying back home. I did a couple of Pilates classes. That was really fun. I tried Cadillac Pilates for the first time, and the teacher was so fun. If you're ever in Palma and you love Pilates, I recommend going to Pilates by Sylvia. I think that's the name of her studio. She does all different forms of equipment, and she was just an absolute ray of sunshine. And she is my inspiration for when I'm 60 years old. She's like, if you keep going with your workouts and just progressing with Pilates, you'll be so much better than me when I'm 60. So that's what I'm striving for. And I did some shopping. I got some sunshine. The last day was raining, so that helped me come home and not feel so bad. And it was actually sunny. It's sunny again back here in the UK at the moment, so that was nice. And it really was the perfect amount of time for me. By the end of it, especially the retreat, I was ready to come home, which is always a good sign. I don't think it's a good sign when you never want to be at home, you never want to get back to real life and your work. But because I love my life, I was missing it, missing my dog and my partner, and just really wanted to be home. But I've caught the retreat bug, the travel bug, and I'm already thinking about where I want to go next. Alex is hosting a few more retreats. I would highly recommend. If you've got any specific questions about them, she'll be happy to answer, but so will I if I can answer them just about my experience. Hopefully you listening to this episode will answer a few of them. But yeah, if you ever are pulled to a certain event or program, please listen to that initial feeling, that gut instinct, because there's going to be something in it for you that you need. So an overview of the days, the events. I had to jog my memory because it all was just a huge blur at the end. I was like, we did what, when, and who did that? And yeah, it was just a bit of a minefield. So I went back through my journal, and I'm pretty sure I've got it accurate with when we did what. And I'm not going to go through every single thing that we did because, yeah, I think it's like private and you need to be in the experience to kind of, yeah, go through that. But the very first day, we got the late afternoon. I travelled in with a couple of girls that I met just before. And we really only did an opening ceremony that night and then had a big dinner. The meals were absolutely amazing. They had a private chef. I was in my element. Everything pretty much was gluten-free there. And we all had a girl crush on the chef that was running the retreat. She was the daughter of the owners of the place, and the whole family was just such a vibe. And even in the opening ceremony, so it was hosted up in the Shala, which is like a little outdoor area that they do yoga in, and they do sound baths and all sorts of things. So before we enter that space, it's a very sacred space, and the energy is so powerful that we were saged beforehand, or it might have been Palo Santo, I'm not sure. And even just the music and the nature and the views and being around these amazing women in circle, I just felt so emotional from the moment I got there. I at first was like, what the hell is going on? I don't know. I was like, is something wrong? Is what's going on? I couldn't think of what the problem was. I later found out what was happening. But during this first heart opening meditation and intention setting, I was crying. And I didn't really have any emotions. It was just like tears streaming from my face. And I think I was like the only one crying at the time. And I was like, oh God, because I'm not someone who regularly expresses emotion like that, and it does make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But this whole experience, I feel like I've cried more than I've ever cried in my life, and especially around people. So I think I needed to learn that that was okay, and that I would probably have been holding in my emotions a bit too much throughout my life. So we were told to set an intention, what we were here for, and I thought going in, me and my brain in my head, I was thinking that I wanted to go in to step into this next version of myself, into motherhood, being able to expand my nervous system to be able to handle that phase of my life, balancing work and family life. But it turns out what I actually needed was to let go of the past version of myself. So it was a very emotional 2 days when we were doing the releasing, and I was also due my period around the time, so emotions were heightened even more. But then the last 2 days, I felt a complete shift. But the reason I realized I was feeling so emotional is because it felt very similar to when I worked abroad. So when I was 19, I worked at a summer camp in America in Pennsylvania. This was 10 years ago, exactly this summer. And it was kind of like a PTSD response, because if you know anything about my story, that trip was a pivotal moment, because when I got back, my health was at its worst. And there were many factors within that trip that contributed. I was on birth control at the time. I was not eating right. I had a lot of food poisoning on that trip. I had some sort of tick bite, insect bite, and contracted these infections and Lyme. I was over exercising, and yeah, it was right at the start of my health journey. And I also realized that being away from my home, my family home, my body was starting to detox from mold, and then having it go straight back into that after the summer, where it was a really hot summer, and I was brought back into that house, my symptoms just exploded. And that was when things really kicked off, when shit hit the fan, so to speak. And I realized that evening that the whole experience really reminded me of being there. Even just little things like back when I was 19 at this camp, I was roommates or co-counselor. So one of my fellow staff members, she was called Carly, and she really reminded me, or Haley, this new girl that I met who was my roommate, she really reminded me of Carly. And even the names, and they're both, oh, they might be born on the same day actually. That's so weird. I'm pretty sure Carly's birthday is on the 16th of September or something very similar, but we were all born around the same time. We have like similar astrology. They even look similar. And that was like another small thing, but I was like, something's going on here. And I couldn't put my finger on it at first. And I was like, oh my God, this is like me 10 years ago. And I feel now that that was like the beginning. And this was the closing chapter, the end of that experience, that 10 years. I'm turning 30 this year. There's a lot going on. So that was like the start of my health journey. And not that this is the end, but I really felt like I'm closing a chapter. And the lesson that I needed to learn was that I needed to let go of that past version of myself. And I've done so much work on my mindset, but obviously not enough. I don't think it's a one and done thing. I think we're always going to have things that come up, and maybe we don't fully let go of these previous versions of ourselves, but I do feel like it was something that I needed to do more work on. I needed to process the trauma that I went through with the chronic illness and medical gaslighting and isolation and restriction that I was under for so long because of quite intense health issues. And I thought that I was past that, but obviously not. So in order for me to manifest or step into this next version, I needed to let go of her. And people do this with other things. Like if you're trying to manifest a new relationship, you need to let go of the other relationships that you've had. You need to heal surrounding that in order to let new things in. Even with your home, if you're trying to manifest a new home or something new within the home, you need to make space and clear that energy out first. So that was one of my learning lessons. And just being in a similar environment, a lot of it was based outdoors, being in nature, even the little huts, chalet that we were in, just really reminded me of that. Just being with women and having group meals. Yeah, it really reminded me of camp. So I was definitely meant to be here, and coming back from that, I feel so much better. But even just being home the past couple of days, I felt a little bit emotional. It's just I've been in this little vortex of energy and just kind of separated from reality for a while, and then I've been brought back in to my life, and I'm like, whoa, I need to integrate some of these things that I've learned. But I definitely feel a shift in my energy. And I've even been told that by a few people, like my boyfriend. I FaceTimed him when I'd finished the retreat, and he was like, your energy is completely different. And I didn't even realize at the time. Then the second day was still very emotional. I cried every single exercise that we did, journaling sessions, visualizations. I cried at literally every single one, which is not like me. The journaling session in the morning, we worked through several different prompts. We identified limiting beliefs that we have, what our desires were, what might be holding us back. And then in the afternoon, we did some releasing exercises. One really cool one was that for a couple of minutes, we would move through certain emotions by physically acting them out, which seemed weird at first, especially things like anger. We were punching pillows and screaming, and a lot of people were just laughing, and it was a bit awkward to get into, but then it was really powerful. And we would also do things like sadness and joy and pleasure, and we would be intensely in them for a couple of minutes, and then we just return back to this center, this peace. And I realized how easy it actually is to return back to a calm state with all of them, even the quote negative ones. It was just as easy to release that and return from that than it was from happiness and joy. So that was cool. And I know how much emotions can affect the physical body, but it works the other way around as well. And even just my body language and my posture acting out sadness, being curled in a ball, having hunched shoulders, it literally triggered the feelings to come up. And that's why they say you need to feel it in order to heal it. So part of healing it could be to actually tap into that and recreate those feelings in your body, obviously in a safe, controlled environment. But yeah, we often just try to think our way out of it, but sometimes we need to tap into the power of the body as well. Then I think it was this day that we did a powerful exercise with a partner, which is the Hawaiian forgiveness practice, Ho'oponopono, I'm pretty sure it's called. It was so powerful. I have heard of it before. I've read about it, and I resonated with it when I heard, but I've never actually tried it. And we were partnered up, and I was partnered with one woman that I hadn't really spoke to at that point, and we didn't even get a chance to chat. We were just straight into the process, and I just started crying again, just even looking in someone's eyes and just feeling connection to. I was just seeing like everyone through her eyes. And it was a forgiveness practice. So you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. You just say that over and over again. And at first, it was difficult to even get the sentence and the words out. And I was crying, and we were just like locked, staring at each other's eyes. And then as time went on, we were doing this for several minutes. It just become easier and easier and easier. And we were like saying it louder. We were having a smile on our face, but I really felt like I was letting go of something. I don't even know who I was forgiving. There wasn't a specific thing in mind. It was just a feeling. It could be the doctors that gaslit me and told me that there was no hope. It could be people from my past who have said hurtful things. It could be myself for some reasons, forgiveness for that, but just saying the words. And I really feel like there's something special in this practice, this prayer. I heard Alex, the retreat host. I'm just going to refer to her as Alex from now on. You all know who she is now, Alex. She said she doesn't know if it's fully true or not, but apparently a guy said this prayer for all of the inmates in this prison, and they were all released and all like went on to live happy lives. So I just thought that was amazing. And just crying in front of someone, it was difficult at first, but at the end of it, I really realized the power of doing so and how you sharing can help other people heal too. And when you're vulnerable, it allows other people to be vulnerable as well. And often vulnerability is the most powerful thing, and it is a sign of strength. And I was just crying, listening to other people. Like one of the retreat members, she said that she'd never felt unconditional love. So they sat her in the middle of the circle, and we all just sent her with our hands love. And then she went around the circle and just looked at all of us in the eyes, and we all just connected and sent her this unconditional love. And she was crying, and everyone was crying. It was so beautiful. And I've never done anything like that before. The community aspect really was one of my favorite parts, just seeing so many women from different walks of life, different career paths, and seeing how they struggle with similar things, self-love, confidence, not feeling worthy, but it just shows up and manifests in different ways with our own unique lives. And this is why I've made community a big part of my client work now, because it is very healing, and a lot of us don't feel like we can or don't want to talk to certain things and health issues to our family and friends. But hearing other people's questions and answers and experiences can help you to understand yourself more and other people and the perspective on life. That day, we also did a powerful visualization. I think it was focusing on the chakra system or release or something. And I actually saw very faintly, because my visualizations aren't super clear. It's more just like an outline or an energy. But I really saw my old face and outline, and she was waving bye to me and being pulled away. And I was so emotional after that. And I even asked Alex, how do you know when something is really clear? Because I felt the shift, but I was just really still upset and just, yeah, very emotional. And she said, the goal isn't sometimes to fully let go and forget about it completely, because it's still me at the end of the day, and I learned so much from going through what I did. But I knew in the moment that I had released it, but there was still a lot of energy surrounding it. But then that evening, I felt like I just needed to be in water. I felt like I needed to like cleanse and wash off. So I had just a big shower, a nice warm shower. The view from the shower was gorgeous as well. So I was in there like 20 minutes. I washed my hair, but that evening I had a big headache. went to bed. That night I started my period, and then the very next morning when I woke up, I felt like a new person. So this was halfway into the retreat. It's when we stopped the release work and we started getting into the future self, the manifestation. Even the weather was a reflection of everything, because that afternoon when we had a big heavy release day, it was absolutely pouring with rain that afternoon, and it was really a mirror to our emotions. It stopped as soon as we'd finished. The next full day was all about our future selves, and we started with a silent morning. And this was really cool too, because I never usually do this. I usually fill my quiet time with podcasts and music. It was important for us to tap into our intuition and even just take in the amazing nature and the birds singing, something that I definitely need to do more of. I really enjoyed that practice, and I didn't think that I would. That day in the shala, we pulled tarot cards and she went round in the circle. We all intuitively picked one, and then we were told to think of what was coming up, what messages we were getting from it. And I really resonated with my card, because one of my fears and one of my limiting beliefs about motherhood, like this next phase of my life, was that I wasn't going to have enough support, because I know how important it is to have, takes a village to raise a baby. So this card that I got really touched me, because it was a woman in the center and she had this like support system around her, all of these different people. So that's the message that I got. But then the actual meaning when she went through the book, and yeah, it's what the card was saying, was that I have an entire spirit team that are waiting to help me if I just called upon them. And I really think this experience will make me get more in touch with my spiritual side, because I've been into mindset and personal development, energy, subconscious healing for years now, but I feel like spirituality is a little bit different for me. So I'm excited to explore that a lot more. Asking for signs and messages, pulling tarot cards, deeper meditations, quiet time, even connecting more to animals and analysing my dreams. A couple of people there were very in touch with animals and even what it means when you see certain birds or insects, which is cool. Like we kept seeing dragonflies. I forget what the meaning was. I'll have to look that up. Later that day, we did a stepping into your future self visualization and embodiment practice. And I love this as well. We had done another one actually, which was like letting go of that past version. But in this one, I had a blanket wrapped around me because I think I just wasn't dressed appropriately. It was quite a cool morning. And we had this big blanket wrapped around me in the shala. And the music was so good. I had a little pep in my step. I just felt on top of the world. And then I realized I was actually like holding my arms like I had a little baby in my arms in this blanket. I didn't realize, but I was just walking. I was like, what am I holding? And I was like, just visualizing having a little baby, which, by the way, I'm not pregnant. If you're wondering that, I want to have kids in the next few years. But I'm in like the prep phase because it's never too early to start. And then that final evening, we had a closing ceremony where we shared our wins and reflections. And then we also shared what we love about ourselves and the person, what the person next to you, what you love about them. I said that I loved the fact that I constantly listen to my gut and my intuition, even when sometimes it doesn't make logical sense to others. And then I was told by a few people that I have such a kind, grounding mother nature energy, which was lovely to hear. I am an earth sign as well. I'm a Virgo, so that makes sense for me, and I just love that. It made me cry again, surprise, surprise. Honestly, yeah, never cried so much in my life, but I was meant to be on this trip. I got to connect with so many amazing women. I actually met someone who coaches at Yes Supply, so the certification that I did last year on life coaching and hypnosis EFT. She ran one of our group calls last year. She was standing in for my usual trainer, and she was from the UK. We had a little joke about it at the time because we were the only ones from England on there. But she was at the retreat. She actually won the retreat, or was gifted it. So there was another woman who was meant to go on it. She couldn't, but instead of getting a refund, she gifted it to someone else. She was like, I want someone to have this experience. And yeah, Jess, the lady who ended up going, she was one of the coaches at Yes Supply. And we just connected instantly. And one of my manifestations was actually to have the founder of that program, Reese Evans, on my podcast, and Jess is arranging that for me. She was like, yeah, absolutely. I do her podcast scheduling, her PR, so let's do it. And also another manifestation was to have Alex, the retreat host, on, and she's agreed to come on too. So we're going to be having 2 powerhouse women on the show very, very soon. So my main takeaways from this experience, I'll just list them out now. Some of them have been mentioned already, but just to clarify. Firstly, we have to let go of the old to make space for the new to come in, energetically, but sometimes physically as well. The body absolutely keeps the score and remembers everything. And even if you feel mentally like you've dealt with something, unless you have physically cleared that energy too, it can live within the body. It's okay to share emotion, and in fact, it can be very healing, because when it is suppressed, when these energies are suppressed, they can cause dis-ease. I really understood the power now of sisterhood and community, and I feel like that was something that was even lacking in my life. It's gotten better, much better in the past few years. It was really bad for my early 20s. I didn't really have any friends at all for a long time, and just felt very disconnected. We can all experience similar feelings and limiting beliefs. Physical healing only gets you so far. You need both that and the energetic, emotional, spiritual healing. It's important to quiet down the noise more, turn inwards, because you always know the answer. So instead of seeking external validation or seeking answers externally, you can often find them within yourself, but you have to slow down and tune out the noise. And then finally, nature is very healing and is one of the most calming things for your nervous system. So if you need a reset, get yourself into nature. So I hope you enjoyed that. I could probably do another 5 episodes on this. If you're not sick of hearing this sort of content yet and you want me to share more, definitely follow me over on Instagram at Viva Natural Health, because I've done a few recent posts about this experience too. And I have mentioned here and there, but I am going to be hosting a day-long workshop in Manchester, live in person, on Saturday the 5th of October. I know it's a while away and tickets haven't been released yet and more details are to come, but just so you can mark your calendars now if you're in England or UK and you want to come along. I just want to meet you guys in person and just give you a hug. And I've also had confirmation that I can bring Norman, my little puppy dog, and my boyfriend Luke's going to be coming, so it's going to be so much fun. So yeah, that is to come later in the year. And lastly, before I leave you, my one-to-one hormone reset coaching package is now live, along with the amazing accompanying program, which is packed with tons of this mindset work, subconscious reprogramming, healing masterclasses on your menstrual cycle and metabolism, blood sugar, fitness, muscle, everything that I talk about. There's a masterclass within that for you. You can find more details on my website. There is also my client community group. So if you are struggling currently with your periods, fertility, adrenal or thyroid imbalances, fatigue, skin issues, histamine intolerance, IBS, immune system problems, this is going to be for you. You can get started for as little as £585 with the payment plan option. And the painful bonus, if you're wanting to painful, you are gifted an extra 60-minute mindset and life coaching call that we can use to clear your limiting beliefs, map out your future goals, or whatever you're struggling with. We can use that hour however you want to. The link to work with me is in the episode show notes. You can book an enrollment call to chat further, or you can complete the application form for this one-to-one package on my website. And then if it's a good fit, we can get started as soon as possible. And you can start your 6-month transformation journey with me. See you back here next week for a Q&A episode. I haven't done one of those in a while, so I am really looking forward to it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're up to. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love for you to leave me a rating and review on your podcast app, as this helps to support the show and it allows it to reach more people with this valuable information. Come and say hi over on Instagram. I'm at Viva Natural Health. And if you haven't already, check out my website, vivanaturalhealth.co.uk, for tons more free resources and to discover how I could support you further.
I currently offer one-on-one consultation packages if you want my top level support, then more affordable group programs and self-paced online courses. So there really is something for everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here next week for another episode.